Hey, energy flow plan for October. The coolest thing is that it is actually September 26th.
It is.
And we are up in the most magical location, Cold Spring, New York. And we promised ourselves that we were going to do this, and we manifested it, and here we are. And the reason why we're doing October energy flow plan, and it doesn't matter because anytime that you watch this throughout October is going to be great, but we're filming it in September because I'm moving to Miami October 13th, and we realized that this was going to be the last time we were going to be in person, probably until December, maybe, unless she decides to come down to Miami with her girls.
Start coming to Miami.
But if you do that in November, then we are good because we can film November's energy flow plan in Miami.
But just put it out there and make the magic
happen.
happen.
December when I come back. So we got it covered, and that is actually the point of this month's energy flow plan. And if you've been following these, you know that we create these for ourselves, but also for our business. And so we've been offering our business energy flow plan as a dossier / dashboard for you to consider in your own life, looking at the month ahead. So we look at the calendar month, even though we follow a lunar cycle. And actually, this is within a lunar cycle, so it's all very magical. And so for October, when I really just set the intention to create the energy flow plan, it dropped in. I wasn't sure it was going to drop in. It's like, it's still September. I was feeling very, very attached to September's energy flow plan still. And it just dropped in, boom, boom, boom. And literally, I texted to her. I didn't even decode it. She was like, no need to decode. I know exactly what you mean. Fire, solar plexus, arc line. And that's going to be our energy focus for the month, and how we're going to show up to really support ourselves energetically so that we can see things through. So the point of this time of year in the fall equinox energy is really what's going to catalyze and drive you through, not just through the end of the year so that you can actually go, oh yeah, that big goal I set for myself in January, I'm going to get it done by December. Again, the calendar is the Gregorian calendar. If you're into that and that helps you, awesome. I find it much more empowering to work with the lunar cycles. And for me, it's really, okay, I take stock in the fall. What can I look at that's going to energize me so much that it will give me what I require to keep me warm and focused and creative through the sterile months of the winter when I go into a much more contemplative time. I'm also moving this month. So personally for me, it's like, what does that get to look like in my personal life so that I get to show up as an agent in our business and a partner to my business partner? What does our company require of me as I'm transitioning? So it dropped in. So yes, fire for the month of October. So what does that look like? So there's 5 tattvas, as you know, 5 elements. So we're working with the element of fire this month because it is actually, not to get off topic, but it is a 5-year numerology, and 5 is all about the editor and cutting out what does not serve you. And that could look a whole bunch of ways. So for us, for October, fire is going to help us continue to burn off some of it's like dead skin cells. And it's like just any kind of what Sarah and I were discussing, any kind of complacency that we perhaps picked up throughout the past 18 months being in lockdown and being in quarantine and just allowing that time, as Sarah required, she said, like allowing herself that time to just say, that's what I needed so that I can now take action and catalyze and move forward. And for me, it was like, oh, and I noticed for me, it was like, I need to now take some risks. It's time. So I get to cut out kind of the comfort zone feeling I was in. So fire helps you burn off. It can burn off karma. It can burn off whatever, but utilize this element perhaps this month and see where you can focus. So what's going to enhance the fire quality? Working on really just centering your core. So any kind of core exercises. Personally, I saw Sarah swinging some kettlebells this morning, and I swing kettlebells as much as I possibly can. Kettlebell is like my favorite piece of equipment. And I was like, we're calling in this month specifically kettlebell swings, but in the name of a little bit more muscular endurance. So swinging kettlebells for like 3 to 5 minutes is actually a really high intensity interval workout. It's delightful because we want to work on endurance. That's also it. It's like, what's going to give you the energy to endure? Yeah. And core strength. So I'm looking at muscle endurance for your core so that you can always come back, be centered, and know that whatever you're cutting out is for your greatest good, even if it's a relationship, even if it's an environment, even if you don't know what it's going to look like on the other side, take the risk. So that's one little tip for fire, and I'll get right into solar plexus. The chakra of the solar plexus is all about, it's your will, it's your not necessarily willpower, but your divine will, what you're here to create, what you're here to offer. It's really your creative efforts. It's the hub, and your solar plexus is in the navel. It is the hub. So of course, fire and solar plexus are related. So this is where it's like, okay, for Sarah and I, we are both so different, but how are we both showing up in our own unique strengths to support our company this month in our solar plexus? It's like double dare. If you ever watched Christmas Story, I double dog dare you. Double dog dare yourself to do something big. To do something big. Whatever that looks like. Oh, fuck, I'm moving to fucking Florida.
Done.
Woo! 2 weeks.
And not just that, you gotta give a little context around it. It's not just from today to tomorrow that you decide to do it. It has been 25 years in the making.
Well,
that you're doing it.
That's part of where I felt like the complacency is over, right? Show up. Where am I? And, Sarah and I were talking about it. It's like we're both risk takers. That's our nature. That's why we're entrepreneurs. That's why we run businesses. That's why look at the way we're built, for crying out loud. 5'10", and I'm the short one. 5'10". Look at these shoulders, right? Like we're built structurally. And so playing small hurts physically for us. It's very depleting. So where do we get to show up in the solar plexus chakra? It's like, let's take some risks. Let's risk something. Let's change it up a bit, whatever that gets to look like. And moving on. So there are a lot of other ways we can show up and support the solar plexus. Calling in just some nutritional practices. And I will offer a recipe, and I'll definitely share that out, drip it out. Throughout the month of October, I'll share a bunch of recipes, but cardamom, cinnamon, pumpkins. There's a great, I actually just did it the other day. And I do it with almond milk. You can do it with regular milk. It doesn't matter. You can do it with yogurt. Half a teaspoon of cardamom boiled with milk. And if you need a little sweetener, I add a little vanilla extract to it. And if I want a little stevia, I'll throw stevia in there. It not only kind of massages the pituitary gland, which is like your creative hub, but it is pepper family. Pepper is a catalyzer. It opens up the holes. I can go into a whole thing about your ears, but let's move on to the arc line, because arc line is the piece of your energetic anatomy that is your halo. And for us women, we have a double arc line. So we have from ear to ear, and then we have from nipple to nipple. So we are like doubly powerful. So when we say double dog dare yourself, like you get to put the wind of female behind it if you are a woman showing up. And arc line is where you store your potential for greatness. Like here's every idea you ever had and will have is in this. That's why it's the halo, right? So what are you downloading and then actually taking action on? And so where are you storing up a bunch of potential and like not using it? And that's like it again, the human body is meant to circulate energy. We store it in stored fat so we can endure, but we know what that looks like when there's too much storage, right? It doesn't feel good. It's very heavy on our souls, on our frames, on our physiology. So where can we open that up? Now, there are a lot of ways that we can support and nourish the arc line and that we can increase endurance. But one thing that is fascinating is the holes. And so the ears, and just massaging and oiling the ears every night. And I would say sesame oil, coconut oil, or almond oil. Normally I do sesame oil in the winter and I do almond oil in the summer. However, I've been doing coconut oil and now I know why, because Miami vibes. But just oiling the ears, making sure the ears are, of all the sensory organs, the only one that is 100% receptive, right? It is solely receptive. I'm not even going to go down a rabbit hole explaining that. Just oil those bad boys and take care of them. Adorn them. I'm wearing lucky lady earrings. Isn't that funny? Adorn them. Do it, whatever, but oil them every night. And that's really just a little snippet. As far as a theme word for us this month, we're calling in more intimacy, and that's really a cornerstone of our company at Elite Mystique Agency. It's really one of our core values is intimacy, and the way that we show up as agents for the people that we serve is in intimacy, because it's not about our agendas, it's not about what we want for them, it's not about how we think we're going to do it. It's really, what do you require? And first of all, is it something that we have a skill set around? Is it something that we have an alignment with? Is it something that we can actually support you with? And if those answers are yes, and we're in clean and clear alignment, and we feel like, okay, this is good, then it's a lot of listening. So that's really it, and that kind of leads right into just a couple pragmatics from the strategist.
I can't quite scooch over, so I'm just going to turn the camera a little bit. So I love the conclusion on the intimacy, because what intimacy also requires is closeness, right? And one of the ways that we can, I love that, create this closeness is to eliminate the clutter that stands between us and whatever it is that we're calling in, or the other person. So you might not know, but many, many, many moons ago, I technically ran a professional organizing company. It was not my company, but I pretty much ran it. And one of the expertise of the company was move management. So, right on par here. Eliminating things is a big part of move management. And you probably know, you create a pile, so what is going to be tossed, what is going to be donated, what's going to be kept, what you're going to put in the storage. So a couple of pragmatics around this month's energy flow plan. When it comes to elimination, I will offer that you take a moment and you look around. What are the gaps, leaks, and bottlenecks in your life? At home, in a career, in a family dynamic, in relationships. So what do I mean by that? Like, let's take a look at the energetic, right? What are the things that suck your energy? What are the commitments that you said yes to that actually suck your soul? What sucks your energy when you walk into a closet? And feel free to Marie Kondo your old space. What brings you joy, everything else goes, right?
Yeah, it's funny because it is part of the fire. Burn sage,
Burn it, yep.
Clean, and purify.
Exactly.
Done.
Do the same with finances. Like Dianne and I just sat down the other day, like, okay, let's take a list and take a look into what are the subscription, what are, again, the commitments, where are the things that the money goes that might be so subtle you don't even pay attention, and yet it drips off. And with it, money is energy. Yeah. So with it, energy drips away.
Like, why are we paying for 2 accounts in one business?
Exactly.
Simple little, it could be $12, but it's not about the amount. It's about the weight, the energy behind the amount.
Yep. And same with time. Again, what are the commitments? What are the addictions? Like, we talk about the addiction to struggle, addiction to overthinking, addiction to success, all the things that are sucking the time away from you. And the time is the only non-renewable source. And it's one of my highest level frequency and priorities. Speaking of priorities, look back into the training that we did in August and in September, because we were talking about capacity in August. We were talking about prioritizing in September. So this really layers in on top of that to start to eliminate. So then get shit done, get moving, get going. It will become much
You're lighter,
easier.
because September we were light,
Yeah.
we were lightening up, and now you're going to really kind of get light so that you can head into these sterile months. And yeah, I think in nature it's all about stocking up for winter and hibernating, but you can't really stock up unless you zero out first.
Exactly. So that's from my end.
Our hearts to yours.
Yeah.
October and September. It's all quantum.
Always.
Peace out. Much love.